Hear me out on this. Tell me you can see how this is setting itself up. I know, but Jeff, you're like 5 months early. I know. I think we have a Bill Belichick. We certainly have a Bill Belichick watch already. I'm going to give this away right away. I'm hoping that people catch on anyway, but I'm going to say this now. We have a Bill Belichick and Arch Manning watch already. Yep. 4 months early, 5 months early, maybe longer than that. But this is, honestly, this is easy to see. It's one of the first things I thought about when I started looking at the schedules that were released. Here's how it plays out, okay? And there's a bunch of tentacles to this. The first coaching casualty of the NFL season is, okay, not maybe or could be, is Brian Daboll, the head coach of the Giants. That will happen. And then the Bill Belichick watch, with or without Jordan, his loving girlfriend. That watch is going to start. I think the other watch is going to start too, depending on how things start to play out. And that other watch is Arch Manning. Somebody in the league office, if you haven't looked at this, and I assume most people haven't, but somebody in the NFL office either cruelly or mercifully said, you know what? Let's end this early for the Giants so their coach can get whacked. I've never heard of a more difficult schedule. I've never seen a run of games like the Giants are going to have. If you sat down and said, just for fun, all right, you had some cocktails, some acid, whatever you do, just for fun, I'd like to see how badly we could screw over the New York Giants to make sure they lose a lot. You would do it almost just like this. Yeah, they threw 1 or 2 games in there, probably not to make it look so obvious. Brian Daboll is their head coach. He is dead man walking. He has to know it. I wouldn't be shocked if he and his family had already told a realtor when to put the house or the apartment up. I'm thinking probably mid-November. They're planning on moving by next Thanksgiving. But that's where the watches start. It's not going to take long. I'm predicting now it's not going to take longer than 3 to 4 weeks of the start of the NFL season. It's not going to take more than, it probably won't take more than 1 weekend in late August for the Arch Manning watch to start. But you can see this coming together. Even if you want to dismiss the Manning part of this, there is no dismissing. He's going to get fired. And then the question is, how many people right now, thinking ahead, think that Bill Belichick, with or without the misses, is a realistic prospect? Okay? So, a story in The Athletic today, which is the New York Times sports section. It says the New York Giants have the most difficult strength of schedule based on their opponent's winning percentage. It's almost 60%. And it's that number because they throw in the Saints. Otherwise, they play everybody that's good. They open with road games against Washington and Dallas. Now you could say, well, wait, Jeff, Dallas. Right, I know. That's one of their 2 easy games of the year. Then they host the Chiefs and the Chargers. They're on the road in Dallas. I'm going to give Dallas that win. They're 0-4 any way you slice it to start the season. And that's just the start of dead man walking. They then go Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, Chargers. They're at New Orleans. I don't know. I guess they win. Have you noticed, and you start to add this up just to keep the dots connected, you do know the 2 worst teams, you can already see it. The 2 worst records in the NFL next year. What do they have in common? One of them is in desperate need of a quarterback. The other one might just need, in New Orleans, might just need a quarterback. Tell me you don't notice how those stories are starting to line up. So then they get, let's say they throw them a bone, you beat New Orleans. Okay, this is in October. Philadelphia, Denver, Philadelphia. Oops. San Francisco, Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit. Oops. And on December 1st, you're at New England. You're fired. You've won 1 or 2 games by December. Guess what everyone is talking about? And they're going to be talking about it long before December. By the way, the Giants, just to make sure the dude knows he is fired. He knows he's fired now. They finished the year. Washington, Minnesota, at Las Vegas. I think that's going to be a really, really improved team. And then Dallas. And that would be 2-15. Goodbye. So long. You're fired. You're dead man walking. That's not debatable. You know it gets weird fast, right? So there's a lot that goes into this mix. Like I said, I think it's plainly obvious part of this storyline already. I know you're going to say, but Jeff, they haven't even played a game yet. They don't have to play a game. You know they are going to have the worst record in the NFL. You know they start 0-4. You know, at best, they've won 1 or 2 games by December 1st. You know that. So they are angling for the first pick in the draft. They need a quarterback. You think the name Manning ever comes up with the Giants? What about Belichick? Let's do the Bill Belichick watch first, because I think it's real. I think there's a lot that goes into this mix. So, okay, let's first start with him. Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, are they in the mix? Right? Because I believe Bill Belichick is coaching at North Carolina, not because he had some desire to go back and coach a mediocre college football program. The guy needed to get his name back out there. The guy needed to look and sound not so old. He needed to reposition himself in the eyes of an owner, because Bill Belichick has to want to win 14 more games to be the all-time winningest coach in the NFL. You'd be crazy not to do that. So since he wasn't going to get a gig before, he had to find the easiest path back. And I guess the only thing that threw the door open was North Carolina, so he took it. So here the Giants are sitting at 0-4. Here are the Giants sitting at 1-6. Whatever the number is, when they whack Brian Daboll, and they will, is Bill Belichick an option? And then, of course, given the fact that it's become a reality show, then we have to ask, is Bill Belichick with the girlfriend an option? Is Bill Belichick without the girlfriend a better option? And now that's assuming he does fairly well with North Carolina. And they're not very good to begin with. But if he can pull off a few wins here and there and make some noise and have people go, wow, they've improved. That's all people have to think. That's all an owner has to think, is they've improved. So one thing about the NFL, it occupies the talk space year round, and it's pulled it off. And this Giants thing, it can't add up any better. I think this schedule, I think the fact that Brian Daboll gets fired, I think it gives this Belichick thing legs and a few other stories. And one of them is going to be, and I'm not even sure it's going to take that long, the Arch Manning to New Orleans story, even though they drafted a quarterback 40th in the draft, they're going to suck again, okay? And they're dying for anything good. The Giants are going to suck again, horribly. You think they don't like that name? I mean, really? You think they're desperate for a quarterback, and I don't know, it's not going to take long for someone to say, but what about that name Manning? It kind of worked out before. Why don't we just do that again? I think this thing is headed on parallel tracks already. And I'm fine if you completely disagree, but I just think it sets up. Look, they're toast, okay? They have no chance with that schedule. None. He has no chance. He's finished. And he might be happy to be out of there. So I think that is 1 or 2 if you want to count the Arch Manning thing. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it makes a whole lot of sense football-wise. I'm just telling you the public and media pressure is going to absolutely be through the roof. I'm not even sure it'll take till October, because the Giants are 0-4. I would not be shocked if by the end of training camp, if Texas beats Ohio State, if Arch Manning has a good game, Not even great, a good game. The hype, the mentions about New York and New Orleans. Forget Heisman trophies and stuff. That'll be the talk of the country. Now, there are 5 interesting stories. Those are 1.5 of them, or 2 if you want. The way this schedule sets up, it sets up several really cool stories. One, and these are in no particular order, I think the Brian Daboll getting fired, Belichick and Manning mentioned, I think sets up as a story too. It might be the sexiest of all of them. But one of them is the Minnesota Vikings have done, it's one of the craziest moves that I've seen. And it either is risky and it works and everybody is a genius, or it doesn't work and they all get fired and their window is closed. And in the NFL, you have very small windows of a chance to win. The system is built to not let you stay on top very long. The system is built to not let you be very good very long. That's why I always say on the show, you have 3-year increments to churn through players. You got 3 to 4 years of a window to have a good roster. Then you got to blow it up because they get expensive, they get hurt, they get old. It's the way the cycle works. The Minnesota Vikings they're really good and in one of those periods where their window is wide open. It's the best time for them. Now is the time. They won 14 games a year ago. They not only let Sam Darnold go and say, good luck to you, we wish you well. They didn't want to pay him. Aaron Rodgers was all but begging to be their quarterback because it's a really good offense. And guess what they said to him? Hey, goodbye. We don't need you either. They then turned the keys over to a 14-win team in the toughest division there is. And a really good offense and a really good young head coach with a window that has got probably 2 years left. They turned the keys over to J.J. McCarthy, who's played all of 9 downs in a preseason game, and that's it. That is a bizarre and crazy move that might work. Other story, number 2 or 1, Bill Belichick's marketability. Look at it that way. Does Bill Belichick have marketability to an NFL owner? Because that's what it's going to come down to. An old owner is going to have to think, why don't we get Bill to come in and fix this? Let's give Bill 3 years. And I don't know. I don't know if it's there or not. Do you think there's marketability there of Bill Belichick? So there's a lot that goes into it, okay? The owner, who that is. I thought it might be Jerry Jones, but I was wrong, as usual. He just picked some stiff from down the hall. The season that Belichick has at North Carolina, and I don't know, they play TCU, and TCU is pretty good, so I think they lose. But if they can pull off a few games that make news, an owner would start to notice. So his record at Carolina, or maybe pulling off a few upsets here and there at Carolina. And then, of course, the one you all want to talk about, the girlfriend's presence. I don't know if she's around still if an owner would do it. I think you may say, this is way too much baggage, old man. But I think it's part of it. The third issue in the NFL season is the Eagles repeat. They're too good. The fourth is, do the Texans make the leap? Remember that window I was telling you about? The Texans are in theirs. They're in the front end of their open window. They have the quarterback. They have an awful offensive line. If they don't fix it, they're going to blow this window. They have a really good defense, really good young head coach. It's all there for them. What is the leap for the Texans? I would say it's AFC Championship game. I'm not saying you have to make the Super Bowl, but I think that's it. They're allowed to fly under the radar, and I'm not sure they deserve it. This is their window. Do they make that leap? That's 4. 5, Lamar Jackson's season being Super Bowl or bust. Super Bowl or bust. He'd even say it. He probably will say it. Super Bowl or bust. And then that one with an asterisk, when Brian Daboll gets fired, when the Giants begin the season and start to lose and lose badly and lose regularly. For every good Arch Manning game, how are the Giants going to fight off that noise? Because the noise is going to be, why don't you just get a Manning?